Hey everybody, this is Hob.
And Jamie.
And you're watching Dutch and Dragons. And today's topic is, let's talk about magic.
Magic, baby.
So...
We're excited about magic.
We are excited about talking about magic. Just so that you know, before we get started, next week we are going to be talking about setting boundaries in your game.
So
and
that's... Any questions about boundary setting in your game?
Put them in the comments below. And we'll get to them.
Yeah.
So, without further ado, question number one.
Question number one. Dun, 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 dun. Do you allow homebrew magic or magic items from other creators?
Yes.
Absolutely. I think they can be super fun, but I do try to read through them thoroughly. And make sure they're not going to
make sure that they're not going to completely unbalance the game.
Right.
Or throw a curveball at us that we weren't expecting,
now,
which still does happen from time to time.
I don't always allow my players to bring them in.
Right.
One of my players is bringing... I sort of love the idea of giving my players magical weapons that level with the characters.
Yes.
And one of my players found a system that allows him to do that. So he's sort of testing it out. But he's a player who's been playing a long time, and he's somebody that I know will not get upset if I say, hey, that weapon is just too overpowered, it's not working out, we need to switch it out.
Yeah, we got to dial this back, bud.
So I love having people who I can trust not to throw hissy fits. If I take the items back away again, to try cool things out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Next question.
Yeah, next question.
Moving right along. What do you like least about D&D's magic system?
Spell slots.
Spell slots. I really don't like the component aspect, honestly.
The component aspect isn't such a big deal. It is...
I ignore it.
Well, and there's actually a mechanic in the game to functionally ignore the component system anyways.
Yeah.
So that's neither here nor there. But spell slots. I don't feel like they are consistent with the concepts of Dungeons and Dragons magic, especially when it comes to like sorcerers and warlocks. I think that there's a big disconnect between the idea of spell slots and innate magic, or magic granted through a connection to a power, and so it feels a little tacked on to me.
Yeah, it does. It feels a little like, well, we want to give them all the spells, but we don't want to give them all the spells.
And I just say, unfortunately, I don't have a better system to propose. I've thought about using concepts like magic points. I've thought about using mana pools, and I like a whole bunch of different things that have existed throughout other role-playing games. I've thought about maybe trying those out as part of the system, but that's for a later campaign and maybe a different play world.
Yeah, the one that I like, that I would like to try out, that we haven't tried out, is the idea that doing magic takes a lot of energy, and you can spell yourself into exhaustion.
That is also a really cool idea.
Which is a really cool idea, and I would love to put that into a game. It doesn't work out in the game that we're running right now, but I think that might be something we try later in our D&D.
Could be fun.
D&D,
Is there anything that you don't like about the magic system other than spell slots?
Really, I agree. I don't think that the spell slots really work out very well. I don't like, I don't like the components very much, because I feel like, you know how to use it, Right. And most of the components, I feel, are, if you read them, unless they're in really high spells, are things like, I went outside and got a rock, and now I can do earth magic.
Yeah.
So I ignore them unless the spell is like a super powerful or super, like a wish spell. I would probably make them have the component to cast wish.
I think that would be wise.
Alright, next question. What is your favorite magic item?
My favorite magic item.
Hey, they're breaking out the codes. What is your favorite magic item?
Favorite magic item? The immovable rod.
So if he goes there...
It's sort of like Thor's hammer without the lightning.
I think we go in the next...
Yep.
Yeah, we're next. Here. Alright. We're sorting out our coffee line, which has gotten ridiculous.
Anyhow, so yeah, the immovable rod is a really, really cool magical item. It's wildly underrated, I think, sometimes, because it is, once planted, it literally cannot be moved. So theoretically, if you were to say to affix the immovable rod to the ground in front of a charging enemy, they would strike the rod would not move, and they would lose. So it's sort of like creating a train wreck without having to actually use a train.
I don't think I've ever, encountered the immovable rod.
Probably not. It's wildly OP as well. When you really boil its magic down, it is super OP, which is another reason I like it. It's disgusting.
I mean, what's not to like?
Right? What about you?
It's a homebrew item.
There's another question for that.
It's my favorite homebrew. It's like my favorite magic item that's in the existing.
It's in the existing system. I guess I should have been more specific.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I have a favorite one. The eye of. Poop! I can't remember the name.
Vecna?
Yeah.
Talking about the eye of Vecna?
I like the eye of Vecna. I think that's interesting.
Fair. The hand of Vecna is pretty wicked too.
I don't know. I really dig. I don't know. My players are silly, so I really dig stuff that edges on slightly cursed and ridiculous. So
oh yeah.
I don't spend a lot of time perusing real magic items.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So moving on. What is the silliest homebrew magic item you've created?
Serendipitous, isn't it?
Okay. The weirdest one that I think I have created is, it's kind of turned into this weird tradition that every Halloween I give them some kind of cursed, fairground or circus game. I don't know why my players it's become a thing. And one of the magic items I created for the last one was it's like the robe of many things, but it's all circus related,
which is highly.
So it's things like you pull out. I think there's some cotton candy in there. There's some teddy bear game prizes and a carousel. And
isn't there a rowboat too? Didn't you leave some of the robe of many things?
Yeah, I left a rowboat in there because why not? There's a goldfish in a bag.
Gotta love it.
It's just they're items that you would typically find at a circus. One of the reasons that I like it, why I think it's funny, is because one of my players has decided to just keep using it outside the circus. So every now and again, you'll be like, I pull out a carousel. Why not?
There you go.
It's funny. I amuses me. What about you?
My favorite homebrew, my silliest homebrew magic item. Have I created any silly homebrew magic items?
I don't know. That usually falls under
that's
my
usually
ridiculousness.
One second.
We're going to order coffee.
Not order coffee, apparently.
You don't get coffee.
Okay. Well, that's nice.
That's cool.
Well, all right. We're gonna order coffee.
Yep.
So back to my. We're back.
Yay! Hi.
Back to my favorite. I guess my favorite silly homebrew.
My favorite silly homebrew. If you don't have one that you've made, what's one from another creator?
Oh well, no. I guess technically it is my silly homebrew. Which is the relic, Ramona's relic.
Oh yeah, Ramona's relic is
yours. It was a never emptying cup.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever liquid you put into it would never, ever, ever run out. It would always refill.
But she's a drunk monk.
And she's a drunken monk, so it seemed appropriate that she would have a tankard that was never empty. Of course, she stole it from her monkin orders monastery, and promptly lost it, and it traveled through several hands to another monastery on another continent. But that's a story for another time.
All right, playing like a muggle, can you play D&D without spells?
Yes.
Yeah, you can.
Question mark?
I mean, you can play a very low fantasy version of Dungeons and Dragons. I know that there are people out there who almost like that better.
Yeah. I mean, you can dial the fantasy part of it down to a very low setting, and reduce magic to only things that occur outside of your game's story arc, which is to say that magic is something that doesn't directly interact with the players because of the players. It directly interacts with the players because they are the protagonists in the story,
yep,
as it were. So yeah. All right, next question.
What do you like most about D&D's magic system?
What do I like most about D&D's magic system? No, that's another. That's a different question, Jamie. No, what I really like most about D&D's magic system is that over the years it has evolved. Although I don't really like all of the ways that it has evolved, I do like that they have continued to try to improve it and to try and add flavor to it without taking away from what it is, which is a magic system.
What is your least favorite spell?
My least favorite spell? Resurrection.
Yeah.
It's always resurrection.
It's always, the answer to that is always resurrection.
You're not going to answer what you like about this?
It's resurrection.
No.
I don't. No. I don't have anything to add.
Oh, okay.
What is the most powerful homebrew magic item you've created? Okay, so mine is the Scroll of One Hit. So it was this ridiculous magic item. I put it in the game. I was trying to give my players something to spend their money on, and it was a super expensive magical item that was in sort of a magic item antique shop, and it was the Scroll of One Hit. Basically, you take the scroll, you enchant your weapon, and if you hit whatever, you kill it. That's it. Like, there's no end of story. You hit it, you kill it. Nobody ever used it. It was very sad.
The most powerful homebrew magic item I have ever created would actually have to be Heartwood's Thorn, which was a rapier that was created for one of her characters. Well, sort of for one of her characters, although she never actually got to use all of its potential. The weapon itself was intended to be an end game weapon that pseudo leveled up as she did.
Well, and it was the first time I had played D&D in a long time. It was one of my very first characters. So, like, I was not a stellar player at the time, and yeah. Basically, I thunderwaved everything.
But it had the capabilities of a sword of sharpness and a Vorpal weapon, kind of at the same time.
I did not appreciate it.
And there were a couple of other little things that were hidden in there that I don't think I actually have documented anymore, which is unfortunate because I don't remember exactly what they were either. But it was Buku Paui.
Are there any spells besides Resurrection you would like taken out of the game?
Liamon's Tiny Hut. Fuck that spell.
I love that spell.
It is like the absolute worst. Oh, no. I take that back. No. Good berry. Fuck that spell even more.
I would take Good Berry out. Well, we don't. We don't make our players handle resources a lot, which is just not something that's ever really made it into our game. And so, on the odd occasion where we are trying to do that, we at least have 1 to 2 players who cast Goodberry, and they just live
and that's
off
all
Goodberries.
they do. Is just cast Goodberry all day, every day.
It's the beginning of the day, I cast Goodberry. It's the end of the day, I cast Goodberry.
Yeah, like, okay, guys, knock it off. That's quite enough of that shit.
Yeah.
One of these days, I'm going to make them feed an army with Goodberry. That'll teach them.
That'll teach them. I like his vindictive. That'll teach them. Resurrection magic, good or bad?
Bad. And not always. So, in fairness, resurrection magic, I honestly don't believe that it should be available to the player characters.
Nope.
Ever. I think that it should be something that can only be obtained through a non-player character interaction. Which is to say that if you want to be resurrected, someone has to haul your carcass back to a temple where they actually have the capability to do it, and then pay for it. And it should be wildly expensive. It should be so expensive
or
that they don't...
side quest to get the one thing the temple needs.
Right. It should be so costly to the player characters that they want to avoid death at all costs.
Yeah.
Period. End of story. Resurrection cheapens the idea of death in Dungeons and Dragons. Done.
Unless you're going for like a Cylon thing where they just throw themselves at something and then resurrect. You know. No. Yeah, but I mean seriously, the problem with resurrection is what motivation do they have to avoid death if they just pop back?
Yeah, if it's really easy to pop back now, you could add, thinking about it, and I have thought about it, you could add detriments to it. Resurrection could result in a loss of levels. It could result in a loss of experience. It could result in major psychological damage, which is technically within the rules. I mean, there's like a whole lot of stuff that you could do with it to make it more viable in the game, but personally I think it should just not be readily available to the player characters as a spell. It should be something that is only available through an NPC resource.
And the interesting thing about that is, we'll get to that after we get coffee. Okay, so the cool thing about putting in that mechanic where the players have to drag a corpse to a temple or they have to go get the really cool thing is it also makes your players think about their interactions and their relationships with the people in their party.
Yeah.
Because I can tell you, I know some of my players have had player characters who have been in groups with other player characters where they would not
have bothered to carry the corpse anywhere. They'd have looted it and gone.
They would have looted it and gone. Now, my players all like each other. They get along. This isn't like table drama.
Yeah.
It's just that their characters don't always like each other.
Yeah, true story.
And there have been a few characters that would have just been left behind.
And maybe not even buried.
Yeah, I don't think they would bother to move Penny. I think if Penny died, they'd be like, let her rot.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Probably. All right, next question.
So, what is your most favorite spell? Thunderwave!
That's her most favorite spell.
It is my most favorite spell.
It's probably gotta be Chain Lightning.
Chain Lightning is very cool. I like
Fireball is really cool and it does a lot of damage, but Chain Lightning is just wicked mean. Wicked mean. Especially when you start casting it at higher levels. You can do equivalent damage to Fireball to multiple creatures in great distances, which is a lot of fun. I
just like Thunderwave because I played a bar and it was my air guitar power.
It was like her perpetual... what is it? I Thunderwave it. Literally, in sequence, she'd say, what is it? And before you could answer, she'd say, I Thunderwave it.
I told you I was not a very good player when I started.
All right. I think we've got time for one more question.
Last one. What is it? Why does magic feel so unbalanced? Really? That's our last one?
Actually, you know what? It feels unbalanced because it's supposed to be. When you start thinking about the the way that magic works, especially in high fantasy, what you have to take into consideration is that magic is, one, supposed to be extremely rare. The fact that everybody has magic in Dungeons and Dragons now is really weird, right? So magic is supposed to be extremely rare. And this is the kind of power that can literally destroy kingdoms. It is extremely unbalanced. And it is by intention and by design. It is supposed to be terrifying. Everybody runs around flinging spells like it's nobody's business, and nobody really reacts to it. But the truth is that magic is supposed to be horrifyingly powerful, to the point at which wizards live out in the middle of nowhere, because if kings knew where they were, they'd fucking kill them.
And I think you're right. One of the things that you hear the buzz about the internet is that they have. I feel like 5e has done a disservice into making everybody a magic user.
I agree. They've given every single character class some sort of magic user ability, and I think they've done a really huge disservice to the game, sort of in general, because of that. Now, it's cool that everybody has the ability to tap into magic, from a balance perspective. Like, if you're trying to create an equally balanced game, great. But the truth is magic isn't supposed to be balanced. It is supposed to be wildly powerful and extremely dangerous. It's why wizards at low level are called glass cannons. And actually at high level they're called glass cannons. They do massive quantities of damage to lots of things, but they die really easy.
And that's another reason why I think that one of the things that could be added into the magic system is a consequence for using it.
Right, absolutely. You see it in Dragonlance, especially with the Raceland character. Higher powered magic comes at a cost. To be able to become an extremely powerful wizard, you have to pay a price, and sometimes it's your health.
All magic comes at a price.
Yeah, and for wizards in Dragonlance, it's a health issue. In Dark Sun, which is an awesome system, which I really hope that they are going to reboot into a 5e system, because I think that would be super cool. In Dark Sun, the use of magic quite literally destroys the life around the caster. It sucks the life energy out of the world around it to be done. So you have to kill something to cast spells. There's a cost. In Dungeons and Dragons, in 5e, in the Forgotten Realms, there's no real cost associated with magic, which really cheapens it.
Well, and even the components aren't really a cost. Again, I harp on components a lot.
Unless they're extraordinary components, like, a 5,000 gold piece diamond type of thing.
Yeah, so I feel like one of my problems with components is just that. They don't feel like you're really giving up anything for your magic.
Right. But that's all the time we have for today, so thank you for joining us. If you like what we're doing, please make sure to click the like button down below and subscribe. And don't forget to click the bell so you get notifications when we post new videos. And if you have any questions, comments, if you love what we're doing or hate what we're doing, leave them down below, and we'll address those in our next episode. Once again, thank you for joining us. Have a great day, everybody.
Storm in the castle.